I'm Rob von Schimmelmann. I'm the Director of Client Care with AgileAssets. We've been doing a lot of meetings with you guys, doing strategic business reviews and other business reviews. A topic that's come up very frequently is about resident consultants, what they are, what kind of value they add. They are costly, so there's always that question. What we also have noticed is we have had strategic business reviews with each of the panelists here recently, and the one thing that all of them have in common is how much they love their RC, how much benefit they're seeing from them, and they've all said that it's worth the cost. With that, I do want to let you guys know that this is more of a question session for you guys. So I've got a few in case you don't ask questions, or Alex said that he'll make me beatbox if no one talks, which I don't wish upon anybody. But what I do want to do is open it up to you guys after I introduce each one of these and have them talk a little bit about how long they've had an RC, what they're doing with them, and kind of what the future plans are. So with that, I would like to introduce first Jenny Lee, Alex Calvillo, sorry, he actually coached me on that one. Vince Latino, yeah, apparently not well. Vince Latino and Lisa Ayers. So with that, Jenny, would you like to introduce yourself, kind of your function, and what you've seen with the RC?
I'm Jenny Lee. I'm with Texas DOT. We have a payment analyst with AgileAssets. Our system was implemented 2 years ago. So since we had a new system, we have a full-time resident consultant with us. So the original idea why we have a resident consultant is because the system is new. At that time, we just built the system based on the legacy system, and we know there's changes coming, which is like data collection is different, and we switch from visual to automated. There definitely will be a need to adjust our interfaces. So we have that full-time resident consultant set it up for us. So it helped us tremendously in the last 2 years regarding to have the new interface built up for the new data collections, and also a lot of enhancements we've been dealing with. It's mainly about the new requirement, different operations, and based on the district feedbacks. So we have the resident consultant on site and help us to really understanding what is the problem is and get to the problem really fast. We can just cross the hall and talk to them and saying this is what the district want, and this is how it look, and he will get on that and then show us, okay, this is what you ask us to do. Is this what you really want? And it's really a very effective communication with the resident consultant to get the system really efficient. So this is what I'm gonna. Anything else? Maybe.
What she said. It's very articulate. That's impressive. We've had resident consultants since day one. They're originally written into the implementation plan, and then they stayed on afterwards. We can't live without them. And I don't know how about your states or entities are, but in Oklahoma we had an IT consolidation shortly after we went live that took all of our IT resources away, put them in a sister agency that was one state finance. So I can't hire any IT support, but I also can't hire any FTEs to even wing it. So our resident consultants are priceless in that way. They are our IT support just for the system.
Vince Latino, Louisiana Department of Transportation. We've had Agile now since November 2010. We had a resident consultant on board from day one. The first part of the time that resident consultant was there was to kind of go through the issues you have with starting up a new system. You're always going to have those. It was able, being on board at the time, it was able to take care of those issues quicker and can see what's actually going on live in the field, not having to call back and try to explain what's going on. We've just got a new resident consultant, Uday, about a year ago, I'd say now. And for recent times here lately, Uday's done a lot for us to actually understand and be able to get more out of the system what we have, right? We have the maintenance management system. To actually be able to use it to more of its full potential. I don't know that anybody's using it to its full potential. We figured out we was used about this much of this much that's there. So we wanted to go farther, get more down the road with it, and get more value out of what we actually have and what we're paying for. And I've said this before. I said this when we had our on-site. if you had, without a resident consultant, I think, even if you don't have one, I think with a resident consultant, you have, when you send things to Austin or headquarters, it's usually big issues. And that takes a long time. The issues that take a longer time to actually get fixed. It's longer time issues where we see a lot of, and we go back to trust, what was said earlier, trust with our clients, which is our maintenance people, the people actually in there, not just the people in the field, but our clients is our own employees. To get trust with them that the system's going to do what they need it to do, what we consider small issues, small changes, is huge to them because of the fact that they do that small thing, their procedure, every day, 10, 15, 20 times a day. So a small change that may seem minor is really more of a trust-building change that we can get, and it really builds a lot of trust with our own people, with our clients, our people using the system, get better data. So I think that's one thing that really helps out. One, the resident consultant can see those issues and also tackle the small issues quickly. So I think that's the big value that we see out of it right now.
Lisa Ayers, Wyoming Department of Transportation. I'm the system administrator and fairly new. I'm about a year and a half into it, and having an on-site consultant has been huge in making that transition of knowledge. We also had a huge transition with our IT personnel that back us up, and they don't understand the Agile system. So we have sat down and had trainings with Tanvir, the #1 consultant. And he has sat there training us and IT to, use the system and how we, on our level, more as user support than tech side, to learn more of the tech side, which is huge, of the configurations and things that we have control over. So that was probably the biggest. And then the business process. He knows our business processes and can come in with our other parts of the organization and say, this is how it fits in and here's how we can make it work.
Thank you very much. So like I said, I want to open this up to you guys. If you don't have any questions, I do have a few more that I can put in just instead. But because James flew all the way in here from Scotland, I want to make sure that we get as much work out of him. So if we have questions over here, then probably the next question should come from over this side, just so that he gets his work out.
Back and forth.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So does anyone have any questions for the panel?
For the panel, can you let us know what
Modules.
you use?
So the question was, which modules are you currently employing?
I'm the system administrator for the payment management system, a payment analyst.
I always call it the MMS, but we've got a roadway, fleet, facilities, resources, and telecom, basically.
Louisiana just has the maintenance management system.
We have the fleet, telecom, roadway, facilities, and linear assets.
On a daily basis, what does your consultant do? What does an average day of work look like?
Start over on this side. We'll just mix it up this time.
Absolute chaos. Because we have, I call it the list of things we're constantly working on, but then it seems like every time you turn around, there's something else that pops up, and he gets on it and gets it done.
So does he actually do customizing in the software? Does he do facilitating communication with Austin?
Totally.
What does he do?
He does all of the above. He facilitates communication with Austin. He facilitates communication internally.
Just real quickly, from a configuration standpoint, the RCs will do a lot. From customization, generally very little, just because that's going to be more at the core code change.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a little bit harder for day to day for me to tell you what Uday does because our setup is a little bit different. Again, we split IT split like Oklahoma did. They took all our IT support away and it went to division administration. Well, we give division administration the money, and then they pay Agile, and then they consider it their contract. So Uday actually sits in another building not far away, probably about a mile or two away from us, and we do meet face-to-face probably once every week, which really helps out. But day to day, I know what he does do is exactly what you was talking about. For us, if we have issues that's going on, he's on a research why we're having those issues that day, whether it's something on the division side or whether it's something on the Agile side that's going on with it. He'll do upgrades for little small tweaks of the system for us. One big thing I didn't mention earlier that is actually done is we'll have an idea we want to do this. Well, he reaches out to other Agile, other states, and knowing what the other states have done with their software so that we can implement some things that somebody else has already done and try to do that. So that's one thing that he does also on a daily basis. But everything you mentioned, from getting with Austin, from doing the small little fixes that day to just helping us even think about where we want to go with the system, that is another thing that they do a lot of.
Yeah, we're pretty much in the same situation as the other two states that have spoken. I will say that I'll give you a better idea of what a week of a resident consultant looks like in Oklahoma. Every Monday morning at 9:15, is it 9:15? 9:15. Used to be 9 o'clock, but one of our RCs decided he had to be fashionably late, so I made it 9:15. That's actually the truth. We meet every Monday morning at 9:15. It's supposed to be an hour-long meeting, but it winds up can be all morning. It depends on the list that we maintain of the tasks. Sometimes that list is a page long. It can get up to 4 pages long. And that generally is kind of the roadmap of what the prioritization of the work does. A lot of the things, a lot of them might be new business that we found through customer comments. Some other things might be the fires that come to my level that I have to immediately pull them off to do that. But every week, first thing Monday morning, they know what they need to be doing, and they have a passionate goal to make that list smaller and smaller. And Stephanie adds more to it, which is a fun little jab there. But every day, they're pulling maybe an 18-hour day. I've received emails from our RCs at 2 in the morning, and I know they're working. They work real hard on it. And that's the standard that we have observed with our RCs. But the real answer to your question is they are all different. I'm on my 3rd one right now. And each one is individually different. And once we take about a year with them and really kind of learn like what their talents are and where their strengths are, then we kind of change up what we assign them of them. Our current RC, who's right behind you, Ross Powers, is one of the smartest guys I ever met. And I can hit him with some of the most difficult logistics questions, and his mind just snaps on it. And that's what we capitalize on. Erlen Dujon, I learned his name too today. He is an excellent negotiator, and he's emotionally intelligent to a crazy degree. So we use him in a different capacity. Eric Keefe was before him. He built the whole system. He's kind of a mix of the both. But my point being is that when you get one, you find yourself kind of getting to know them, and you have to get to know them, and then the work kind of follows there. They're an asset, and that's what we use ours for.
Yeah, ours been similar to those 3 DOTs, and at the beginning of the month, and we do compile a list for the resident consultant to complete in the month. You know, like anything will come up any moment, so the list can be dynamic, but we work with our consultants to prioritizing, to say, give a deadline for each task, so they will try to finish it before the date, and then we work with them closely to not just to say, you have to do these things in this way, this is a new requirement, and we work with them closely to do the testing, not just within our office. A lot of the time, we do work with district employees to do the testing, and based on the feedbacks, our resident consultant make adjustments, and then we will tell the district, yes, this is ready to go, and then go ahead, use it. So our resident consultant, I will say, works really hard, and we're lucky to have one which when we have our system developed, the consultant was the one work in our project. So he basically have the detail of fundamental ideas how system works. So which make it really a great benefit for us, because if we have a question, we have a problem, and he knows where to go to fix that little bug, or where to go to make that improvement, or he knows how the system is set it up. If we want to go from a point A to point C, he knows a shortcut. Instead of going from A to B to C, he knows how to link from A to C. So for us, that's a great saving using the resident consultant, even if we all know expensive. But from efficiency-wise, timing-wise, I think it's great for us.
Magdi Mikhail, TexDot. I just want to kind of repeat what Jenny said. The experience has been very good and very positive, and it helped us with the implementation, and it helped us with dealing with the fires. We all know how a state agency, we always have crisis and new requests, and we have a lot of dynamic things going on right now with the MAP 21 and the FAST Act and performance measures. So my experience has been very, very positive, and it's been very beneficial in helping us with the implementation of the new system.
Really quickly in between, though, just show of hands, how many of you guys have been in touch with your RC on off hours? Yeah. Lisa? Okay. Come on, Tim.
Question for everybody. IT security is a huge issue right now. Is your RCs allowed to touch anything on your system, your internal system? And if so, how did you get that done?
Let me clarify. When you say internal system, do you mean the actual product that we purchased from AgileAssets, or just our network in general?
Your network, your internal DOT network.
I know that they have access through the normal security process to get into the state network. They really don't use it because our system is set up to where you can access it from anywhere. You could pull up on your phone right now if you had a login and password, and they are able to work more remotely. Well, now we're hosted, it's a lot different, but they really don't get into our system much as far as the Oklahoma network. And the access that they have to the back end or even the front end of our MMS doesn't require them to have access to our system. And it kind of seems like a generic answer, but that's really important when you consider that we're a state that has to deal with a sister agency for IT security. I can just tell them that they're not in a place where you can be worried about them, so leave me alone.
So we know, like for us, tax DOTs, our data, like payment data, and also the ski data we've been collecting, which are really very sensitive, are secured by the state DOTs. And definitely the data is in the system. The resident consultant can access. But, the resident consultant are understanding and the data is confidential. And we're working with our IT trying to make because we have the system hosted by Agile. We had a previous project which our IT identified. This is the really important security enhancement we can do with the system. So we are working hopefully with our IT with a new project gonna be enhance the system with better securities issues. But I know for the resident consultants, they can get to the system, but they do have just a limited access to our internal network.
For Louisiana, like I said earlier, was that division administration works with UDA on a day-to-day basis, and everything that they touch with DOTD systems, other systems, are in through interfaces. And anything with the interface is a huge security for division administration, and they have their protocols on what can and can't be done. And UDA, if I'm misspeaking, just let me know. But it's more through interfaces, so it's not really a lot of direct access to any of our other stuff. But and that's done through strict security profiles through division.
With us, I'm not exactly sure what they did to get Tanvir the access, but he does have read-only access to all the environments, and then certain environments like our development, he can go in and do development work there directly in the back end of the system.
I wanted to add one more benefit to our resident consultant situation, and that is that our RC has been able to help us bank confidence in the system with some of the changes, adjustments, quick reactions, and wins that we've made. I would suggest that our consultant, I don't know how much the rest of your consultants get to interact with the user base as much, but we make sure that ours gets an opportunity to interact with people in the field, that they are able to express their concerns, changes, problems, issues, bugs, whatever, to him directly in many instances, so that they're able to express it plainly to him. He in turn able to address them as quickly as possible. And again, he winds up banking for us a good bit of user confidence in our system. At times throughout our 7 or 8 years, we have lost in that. So we're making gains in that with our RC at this point. And I wanted to make sure that he got credit for that, number one. And number two, that's a benefit of having the RC on hand. So.
Build upon what you just said there, because one of the most interesting things that I've noticed about our RCs is that it's been all these years, and just this Monday, just the first day of this conference, one of our employees that I brought with me here for the first time learned and was a little dumbfounded to find out that our 2 RCs were not DOT employees. The entire department thinks our RCs are permanent employees. Some of our RCs have been known to have long, extensive conversations with the Secretary of Transportation, and the Secretary doesn't even know that they're contract employees. That's how we got them on the soccer team. So, and you're exactly right. It's that integration into the family of the DOT that really contributes to making it work.
Quick question. As the new versioning comes out, with the RC on staff, so to speak, is that just kind of one of their duties, or is that separate? I'm not sure how that, when a new version comes out, is that just kind of something they do take care of?
I'll actually field that one. So it's somewhat elective. Of the 4 up here, 3 of you guys are at least on 7.2. So we have had a lot of interaction with the RC helping with that. And it's always a good thing, especially when you get to UAT, to be there on the ground for it. But it is always elective to the agency itself. I think that we would find that they would prefer to have their RC helping out, just because they understand the workflow and they understand the people involved. You guys agree to that?
So I've got a quick question for you. How many of you had AgileAssets installed and were using it before you had an RC, resident consultant? Any of you, or did it come with the setup and that's how you did it? Because the basis of the question is was it tough to sell an RC to executive management? And if you did you write a business case on a rate of return or a net benefit? You know, I've got this many state employees and I've got to get them up to speed versus this guy knows the system. It's not that hard to learn the DOT. So that's what I was for, is how did you sell it to executive management? And can you come up with a benefit cost ratio or something like that?
For Oklahoma, Eric, you might have to help me on this one. I believe, well, first of all, the RCs were part of the implementation team, so that was one contract. I don't recall, were you guys also allowed to stay for a year after go live as part of that implementation? Yeah, a year. And I, looking back, it was genius, because by the time that year was up and we had realized that we really haven't learned enough of the system to sustain it ourselves, and it happened at the same time as the IT consolidation, it was real easy to quantify the need for these integrated people. Every year now, I have to renew the RC contract, and it's nice to be able to be in a position where all I got to do is turn to my staff and turn to the data and say, look at this. But it's still a challenge, and it's one reason why we keep them so busy. A question earlier is, what do you have them do? It says, we have them do everything. Tongue in cheek, I say we beat the crap out of them, but we do. Because it's a huge investment, and in order to get that benefit cost ratio in your favor, you really got to load them up, and then they have to price the challenge. And I'm happy to say they have.
We've had it since go live, so it's same boat every year or so. You have to end up renewing, and we renew. Division administration renews it, but I have to give them the data. Go ahead and do it, because we have to filter the money over. So exactly what Alex said is the same boat that we're in.
We, on an original implementation in 2006, had them also, and then throughout the years we have and we haven't. I can't really speak to the financial side because that's not part of what I do, but I can say in my position, I'm always whining to the right people that we must keep him forever.
I think maybe I didn't really work with the first contract. Maybe Magdi can help me with, our first contract with residence consultant. And we're in the phase, we're trying to renew our current contract. I mean, we definitely need it.
After the initial contract, we realized the need to continue to have the on-site support. We realized in order to continue and to be able to address the district needs and to be able to handle the dynamic changes, we kind of initiated the contract for, I think, 18 months or something. And throughout the 18 months, we realized we didn't finish all what we wanted. And I can see it as a continuous thing. And when we had our own kind of in-house system, the legacy system, you had full-time employees that were supporting the system. So I think it makes sense to have on-site support to support the new system.
Real quick question for you guys. How aware are your executives of the resident consultant? Do they know what's going on? Do they approve of it? Do they have questions, concerns?
Texas, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The answer is yes.
I think our IT department definitely knows, and it's funded by our IT department.
And that's a very good point. Our IT department does actually fund the resident consultants contract. And we do have the challenge when, we just had our annual review a couple of weeks ago. We have the challenge of making sure that the executive staff are aware of the product that they're paying for, because I have to renew that contract every year. And it's a really good buy-in from them to have that one-to-one and realize that this is the investment, these are the people, here's the personalities, and this is what they do for us. And our RCs will tell you, you don't have to ask me, that the executive staff, once they recognize who they are walking through the halls of ODOT, will ask them direct questions. Can you get your software to do this? Of course, the answer is always yes, but it's just good to know that they're comfortable engaging them just like a DOT employee.
Ours is actually funded through our through our management and finance to IT to division administration to go ahead and do it. Ours, because of the fact that AgileAssets with the maintenance management system is only on the operation side, I would say the executives on the operation side definitely knows. Yeah. But a lot of the others in the organization do not know that we have one because he is housed at division administration. But I think with we have discussions have happened before, knowing how much benefit we actually get out of them.
I'm sure that all of our executive staff is actually aware, but probably more so on the operations side that we are dealing directly with.
How much has the experience, the prior experience of each resident consultant you had affected what you see out of them? I know for Jenny, you've got Ahmed, who has his PhD. Alex, you've got Ross and you have Erlen, both with their master's degrees in civil engineering. You have Uday, who also has master's, and then you have Tanvir, who has his PhD. How much of that do you think has affected their knowledge base? How easy it has been to integrate them into your groups?
So I will say we're lucky to have Ahmed. Before Ahmed worked for AgileAssets, he actually was one of a textile employee. So he knows the business process and he understands, in general what the district needs, which helped us tremendously before even he came on board. And then he also on our implementation team with Agile, so he knows the system in and out. So for that, we have a great advantage. I'm not sure for other state DOTs, but we're lucky one keep here.
Okay, so I was dumb enough to assume at the onset that these guys didn't have engineering degrees or upper level engineering degrees. I actually remember the day that we were in implementation, and I mentioned that Eric Keefe and R.F. Begg were computer science majors. And the synchronicity of their twisting in the chair to look at me, and then I knew I was about to have been thrown at me. I learned real quick that they were all had a much higher education than I did. But I come from a world where I only have a bachelor's degree and a PE, and those are just things on paper. And when it comes to the world we live in, this is all born of problem solving and people skills. And it's great to have that knowledge there. I don't have anybody with a PhD, and I don't need them. I've got what I have, and I make the best out of it. It's nice to know that they were engineers, and they're nice when I insult them like that. But I'm all about just the connection and the people. As long as they know how to solve problems, then I'm all in.
Almost ditto exactly what Alex just said. I think it's about more with Uday. It's in the other residence consultants that we had. It's more about the relationship you form with them and their personality and who they are. And I think Alex said earlier, getting to know each one of them separately and just actually getting to know them, having them be part of our family and understanding the people. Because once they feel like they're part of the family, they buy into solving those problems for us. And the knowledge that Uday brought with him basically was being on a lot of other implementations with a lot of other states, as I said earlier, can bring a lot of ideas that came from other states. Because believe me, we're being enough conferences here, we all have basically the same problems, especially in the maintenance management part of it. We're very much similar. You're different in some ways, but a lot of things that you're needing and asking for are very similar. So I think the knowledge of having other aspects of other systems, knowing what they did, I think that's one of the greatest values. But again, it's getting to know the person itself and having somebody that fit in with your group. In our group, if you can't take a joke, then it's going to be very tough sledding. That's all I got to say.
That's very true with our group, too. And with Tanvir, he was new. This is his first gig, should we say. And what's great about that is he can see how we do things. He's got some great ideas coming in. And then it helps him expand, too. So that's been kind of neat.
Other questions that are out there? I've been doing a lot of talking, so I don't want to hog all your guys' questions.
Just to answer the question on ROI, I think somebody had that. A couple of years ago, I did an ROI analysis on the whole idea of the RCs, and it was about 30 to 35%. Can't remember who answered that question, but.
Probably just repeating something that's been said, but I've only been involved in the management of this for like 2 years and been involved with Agile since the implementation. But what I see so clearly is a big difference in having him around is that there's these issues that we can resolve. I know you said it quickly, little short things that seemed before to be things we couldn't get over the hump on. I can think of about 5 different examples in the last 6 months, and we had them resolved in a couple of weeks, and it was a big deal to the users that were stumped by not, we can't get over the hump, we can't do that kind of stuff, or have no way to get it done. So that's been invaluable, absolutely invaluable.
How long did it take you guys to start realizing value once you got an RC on board? It might be a little bit difficult for you because Tanvir started before you, but maybe for the others.
Immediate. Even because when you have it at go live, you see you're going to have a lot of issues at go live. There's going to be a lot of things you think about, or even things you say, well, we want to do it that way, and then in any software implementation, you think that's the way it's going to go, and About 6 months into it, you're like, ooh, that wasn't good. We need to change that process. And you end up changing. So you see that very immediately. And with Uday, I'll give you a little example. I forgot what it was. It was something a user had asked for to be done, something very small. And he got in and was able to do that. And we're sitting there, and then the woman was on the phone, and she said, oh, we just put that patch in. Look at it. She looked, she goes, oh, I love you, Uday. So, I mean, it was pretty immediate. It was pretty immediate that we could find out differences in what the value of resident consultants being there with you.
Now I'm going to agree with him. I knew from the start. Matter of fact, I was just telling Laura the story. It was my first IUC in Wyoming. Had given a presentation on their implementation, and there was a picture. Maybe you remember this. It was the RCs helping make a retaining wall for one of the DOT guys' house, and there was a picture of these two RCs with shovels and mixing concrete in a wheelbarrow. And I remember thinking to myself, that so much of that commitment, if I can get half of that, I'll have a lot of confidence. So I was excited when I first found out that we were getting a physical human form to come to our state to work 100% on our system. It gave me just a lot of a warm, fuzzy, something to rely on feeling. So I knew from the get-go that we had something good going there. And that's before I found how much it cost.
So I will say one example is we being recently experienced and to see how much it benefits the users, the end users. And we have a new table or interface created for our like Surface Edge. And our original design was to have the user to verify the data and manually put in all the historical work history data. We thought it's good improvement, and then we heard the feedback from the district, and they think that's really time consuming. We work with our resident consultants, and then we ask him, can you load the data in if we give you the Excel format? He said, yes, I'll give it a try. Like after 1 week, he told us yes. So we load the data in for 4 districts into the system, and all the end users are like, "Wow, it saved a lot of time on us to manually enter the data." So for us, that is a benefit we see, from the resident consultants. It's saving the district's time, improving the business process. It's how it works both ways.
I have one last question, and who's got the best one? Yeah. Okay. I've gone to all these places, and everyone's like, "Well, ours is the best." Clearly, ours is the best. Yeah.
We just fired ours, so I don't know.
Yeah. We've got Team Tanvir, we've got Team Uday. I was told there were going to be shirts, but Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you to the panel for engaging in this, and I will let you go. It's a couple minutes early, but thank you very much.